I mentioned this in my previous Final Fantasy music video, the incredible music of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but most people would probably agree that Final Fantasy games all have incredible music, regardless of how you feel about each respective game. And with the recent release of Final Fantasy XVI, I thought now would be a great time to talk about the game's wonderful music. Just a heads up here, most of my picks are battle themes. I'm a sucker for a great battle theme, and 16 has them in spades. Let's start with my absolute favorite track in the game, titled No Risk, No Reward, which accompanies the player during hunt battles and certain boss encounters. This track absolutely embodies the term triumph, the powerful orchestra perfectly scoring your fights, making you feel like an absolute superhero. Eventually, at 1 minute and 42 seconds into the track, it crescendos and reaches my favorite part. The horns fire up and get faster, making your blood pump and your heart race. When you're in the heat of a battle and you're nailing your perfect dodges, landing counterattacks, and using your iconic abilities on a staggered enemy, with this part of the song playing in the background, it is exhilarating. It pushes you to keep fighting and to finish off the enemy. I get goosebumps every single time this part of the song plays. It is a masterpiece in music composition and an absolute dopamine rush. Up next is the game's main battle theme, 16 Bells. This plays during your regular enemy encounters throughout the game. It starts off sounding like an homage to Nobuo Uematsu's main battle theme for Final Fantasy VIII, Don't Be Afraid, before introducing beautiful string instruments that give the track a graceful sound, the heart-pounding drums scoring every hit you land on an enemy. The track then reaches a more timid section as it builds up to a melody that you'll hear a lot in some of the game's other tracks. I like to call this Soken's melody of hype. Eventually, the song takes inspiration from Yoko Shimomura by introducing a gliding and smooth duo of piano and strings that wouldn't sound out of place in Final Fantasy XV. It's almost like a waltz type of feeling as Clive dances around the field, Phoenix shifting from enemy to enemy. It's a beautiful and elegant battle theme. Next is On the Shoulders of Giants, a theme that you hear during some of the game's mid-game boss battles. It starts off with an orchestral version of the oh-so-familiar Uematsu bass line that was a staple for Final Fantasy battle themes back in the day. It disappeared for a few games, but returned in Final Fantasy IX. It sounds like a defiant march towards danger. Sure, it won't be an easy fight, but you aren't alone in the battle. As the song warms up, the full orchestra kicks in. When you're kicking some goblin leader ass or fighting an enemy keeping you from your objective, this track helps you take them down. Next is what I like to call a panic attack in song form, Away, the theme that opens up the game during the Phoenix vs. Ifrit battle. It's a track that starts up and never stops, the strings sounding like they're sprinting towards their goal as the choir kicks in. I can't help but get chills here flying around as Phoenix, soaring through the air to stop Ifrit. Eventually, the track reaches a part that kind of reminds me of the CW Flash theme composed by Blake Neely. It's an incredibly frenetic roller coaster of a track that lets you know the game means business. Next is the theme of the Hideaway in Cid's theme, Hideaway. The track perfectly encapsulates the character of Cid. It's noble, sweeping, grassroots, and graceful. It's a really great track to listen to while doing pretty much anything. There's also a more upbeat and triumphant version of this song that you hear when Cid transforms into Ramu to get Clive to calm down after he loses control to Ifrit.
I said stop!
Now, the final track goes into spoiler territory, so you've been warned, but that track is Find the Flame, a track that the developers have said is Clive's theme. Now, there are two versions of this track. One that plays when Clive presses L3 and R3 to accept the truth and lay some smackdown on Ifrit, and the other that plays during Clive's final showdown with the game's villain, Ultima. That version is known as All as One, a very fitting title which we'll get to soon. Both versions are fantastic, the former starting off at 11 and never slowing down. Clive accepts his truth, breaks his limit, and unleashes some devastation to get Ifrit on his side. It's a heart-pounding and powerful theme that gave me chills when I first heard it kick in.
Once and for all.
All as One builds up to the chaotic feeling of Find the Flame by utilizing slower but heavy drums, beautiful string and brass instruments, and a more prevalent rock sound that weaves in the main Final Fantasy prelude. It's a track that reasserts Clive's faith in his goal to take down Ultima once and for all, and he doesn't do it alone. As the battle rages on, Clive calls on every icon he has in his arsenal to stop Ultima. With each hit, we get a voice line from someone important to Clive, a reminder of the people who helped him get there. But my favorite moment is at 2 minutes and 15 seconds in. This joyous portion of the song hits and you can't help but be giddy with excitement. It's the musical personification of Clive having Ultima on the ropes, his will continuing to grow stronger as he finishes off Ultima for good. Before we end the video, I'd like to give an honorable mention to the game's official theme, Moon Gazing by Kenshi Yonezu. Unfortunately, I can't play the song because I'll get DMCA to high heaven, but it's an incredibly beautiful and moving track. When you hear it at the end of the game, it'll be hard for you not to be an emotional wreck. Bittersweet endings always get me. And that is my video for some of the incredible music in Final Fantasy XVI. There's a lot of tracks I didn't get to because there's so many, but in the comments down below, let me know what are some of your favorite tracks from the game, whether they're character themes, battle themes, environmental themes. I'd love to know in the comments down below, and make sure before you go to check out my previous video, the incredible music of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I love the music in these games, they're phenomenal, and getting to talk about them is always a ton of fun. I am Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.